Now that you have already gone through the basic grammar rules in our previous video, now we'll study SAT specific rules. So as we have already listed a few rules that you'll thoroughly go through, rule number 1 is subject and verb agreement. Okay, so we have already seen what is a subject. Just to go through once again, subject is anything that is being talked about in a sentence. So whatever is my topic that I started with, that I want to talk about in a sentence, is a subject. Now, for example, your subjects could be nouns, pronouns, gerunds, infinitives, and then of course we can have adjectives along with nouns. So a noun which has been described in some or the other way, or an adjective with a pronoun, that ways. Over here, gerunds and infinitives, if these are a few new terms for you, it's nothing very different. Gerunds and infinitives are actually verbs. When you add a ing to a verb, it becomes gerund. For example, if I have to say walk, and walk is my verb, which we have already seen in our basic grammar class. And to work, if I add a walking, if I add ing, if I say walking is a good exercise, then walking becomes my subject because it's a gerund. Same manner, if I am talking about infinitives, if I add a to the verb, it becomes infinitive. Now, this is something which you have already studied in your childhood. In your SAT, they're not testing anything new. They can't change English grammar. But the thing is, they'll confuse you on these terms. So if you add a to a verb, for example, you say to walk is good for health, then to walk is your subject. Okay, although walk is a verb, but to walk is your subject then. Alright, so these are my subjects. Verbs, again, we have already discussed in our previous video. What are verbs? The actions. Actions like if I have to say sleep, or if I have to say eat, or if I have to say walk, all these actions. Then apart from this, if I say a helping verbs is, if I have to say are or have, anything like these are my actions. So this we have again discussed in our previous videos. I'm not going into a lot of details of verb. Now the important part over here is SAT will not test you on subject and verb only. It will test you on the agreement of subject and verb. Now in your previous video where we have discussed sentence, you have already seen that in a sentence, or a sentence to be a sentence, requires at least one subject and one verb. But there can be more than one subject and more than one verb. Agreement says that if you have multiple subjects and if you have multiple verbs, what agrees to the other one? Which subject agrees to which verb? For example, if I say something like they eat and I say she eat, are both my sentences correct? No, one is not correct. Why? See, over here, she will not eat. It will always be eats. Over here it is they eat, but over here it will be she eats. Why? Because here I'm talking about plural subject and here I'm talking about singular subject. So this gives us a rule that if you have a singular subject, you require a singular verb, and if you have a plural subject, then you require a plural verb. Something very important over here, and though we know it, but we tend to forget this, is that if you have a S with a verb, then this is singular. Like if this is a verb and if I say sleep, I'll always say they sleep. I will never say she sleep. I'll always say she sleeps, because sleeps is a verb with S which is singular. Although if I'm saying student, now student is singular, but then students is plural. So subject with S will be plural, whereas verb with S will be singular. So remember this point. So that's about the agreement. Now let us take a few questions. See, Lily and her friends dash going to the party. Lily and her friends. So what's my subject? Lily, friends. I'm talking about two. So, if I have a plural subject, what type of verb am I looking at? I'm looking for a plural verb and not a singular verb. Lily and her friends are going to the party. Now, if I say Lily along with her friends dash going to the party, along with her friends. But then am I talking about friends? I'm still talking about Lily. Lily along with her friends. So whosoever comes, I don't care. But who's going actually? Lily is going. So is Lily singular or plural? Singular. So I'll eliminate R and I'll keep is with me as the correct answer. Next one. Neither Lily nor his neighbors dash going to the party. Now, a different pattern. Till here, we were only talking about and or any other adjective. But here I'm talking about neither Lily nor his friend. So I have changed the pattern this time. This time I'm using a idiom over here. This is also known as disjunctive phrase, where I have a neither and a nor. So neither Lily nor his neighbors is or are going to the party. See, in these type of sentences, I keep attention towards nor. Neither Lily nor his neighbors, which is plural. Neighbors will be plural. So I'll talk about are and not about is. Neither Lily nor his neighbors are going to the party. If I would have changed this sentence and made it something like neither his neighbors nor Lily, if I put a Lily over here, then I'll not choose are, then I'll choose a is. Now the next one, the chain of mountains that I can see from here dash beautiful is or are. So in this sentence, where is my subject? My subject says the chain of mountains that I can see. So what am I looking at? Am I looking at mountains? No, I'm looking at the chain of mountains, not mountains. The chain is singular or plural? Is singular. Mountains is plural, but I'm not talking about mountains. I'm talking about chain. So the correct answer should be is and not are. This is known as collective because over here we are having a collection of noun. So this is known as collective. Then the next one says every dog dash paws. Every dog, so I'm talking about each and every dog, that means singular. Every dog has paws, not have paws, because has is singular and have is plural. So singular and singular. This is again known as collectives, but in which sense? With these words. Words like every, like in the next one also, every dog and cat has or have paws. Now see, and over here in this sentence, in the first sentence, 1 plus 1 and plus her friends, Lily and her friends. So and is plus. But if I'm talking about this one, dog and cat, I'm not saying dog and cat have paws. I'm saying every. So I'm still talking about every. I'm still not talking about dog and cat. And wherever I use this word every, I get a clue that it is a singular sentence. So again, this is wrong. Not only these, you have other words also. Like if I say none, wherever you find this none, your subject of the sentence is automatically this one. So you're not going to look for anything else in the sentence. Every, none, or you say anyone, or you say someone, or you say each. Now these are a few words. If you find them anywhere, you're making the verb as singular. The next one, the number of hardworking students, what few is or are? See, now here am I talking about students? I'm talking about hardworking students. But am I talking about hardworking students or number of hardworking students? So you always break down. Here I'm not talking about students, I'm talking about hardworking students and then all the hardworking students. No, I'm talking about the number of. Wherever you see the word the number, you're being specific. You're not saying all, you're saying specific number. So the number is always singular. This R is out and this is the correct answer. But if I'm talking about the other sentence, a number of hardworking students. Now when I say a number, it could be any number. I'm not specific over here. With the number I was specific, but with a number I'm saying any number. Okay, so I'll not be using is, I'll be using a are. A number of hardworking students are few. Okay, so it could be any number. So these are a few things that you need to keep in mind. Like these would be named as numericals. these are numerical words. So you have to be a little careful, and as such it won't be a big issue to identify the subject of a sentence and then the verb. So what all have we covered till now? We started with subject-verb agreement. We already know that nouns, pronouns, gerunds and infinitives can be our subjects, verbs are actions, and we have to look for their agreement. So that's our rule number 1. Subject and verb. If you have a singular subject, you will be looking for singular verb. If you have a plural subject, you will be looking for plural verb. And for these examples, in the first one we did add and additives. So wherever you have a and, you have a plus sign. That means there are two. That means we have a plural subject. Then we talked about disjunctive, neither and nor. So wherever you have a nor, you look for the second place as the subject, not the first one. Then we went to collectives and we saw that we are not talking about mountains here, we're talking about chain. So wherever you have collectives, you again look for singular. For all these type of words, none, anyone, some, each, every, you always use singular. And for the number, when you're specific, you use singular. For a number, when you are not specific, you use plural.